I call the Halsey City Council meeting of November 11th, 2022 to order at 7 p.m. Hillary, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Lockenbrook,
Here.
Councilor Gilson,
Here.
Councilor Isom,
Here.
Council President Lorenzen,
Here.
Councilor McMillan,
Here.
Councilor Romer,
Here.
Councilor Strauss.
Here.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank all of you for your time to attend tonight. Time to be here. We appreciate your time. Any guests who are physically present need to fill out the meeting sign-in sheet near the door. We're running a hybrid meeting tonight, so please continue to allow those who want to attend remotely. So, cut down on background noise and feedback. Remote attendees should mute themselves while not speaking. Staff members and guests on the agenda will need to unmute themselves to give reports to council. Audience members may unmute themselves to speak during citizen comments. The first item on the agenda is consent agenda. Any councilor may request to remove an item from the consent agenda that they wish to have discussed and acted on outside of consent agenda. If there is no request made, council may approve all items on the consent agenda. I entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the business items in the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is financial reports. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, discussion? Hearing none. I'd entertain a motion.
I move the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the October 2022 financial reports and journal entries and the September 2022 financial reports and journal entries as submitted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next on the agenda is agenda adjustments. Hillary, are there?
No, but just to be aware that at exactly 8 p.m. Either me or Maddie needs to go take the ballot box and lock it in the office, and nobody can vote after that time. And sometime 8:25, 8:30, the deputy sheriff's office will show up, and we'll need to go get it out of the office for them at that point. So, apologies for the interruptions.
So since how the sheriff's department is not here, are they online? No. Okay. So then we'll move on to citizen comments and circle back for whenever they get here. So with this, the several interested citizens and anyone in the audience to address the council on any items of concern. Please limit your comments to about 3 minutes. Please start by introducing yourself and stating your address. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times, and we're moving on. So next is reports to council. We'll start off with the administrator's report, please.
So the coffee and donuts carts were released October 22nd, and then they had a cancellation and came back the following weekend. It was actually, I don't know if any of you were able to come over, but it was a lot of fun. There were neighbors out there, folks standing around talking, and it was like a social event all of a sudden. So unless council has objections or concerns, my intention is to allow them to continue to do that. Right. We got positive feedback from the community, which was nice. The first Thursday happened. It was lightly attended, but it was still fun, especially since somebody brought a puppy. And I think as people get more used to it, just with repetition, and don't kind of know that it's there. We also now have our banner that we can hang out there or put out there. So we put it out earlier this time, so that will help. Since Council President Lorenzen is doing this third Thursday, and Deborah, who's the Director of Sharing Hands will be his guest. We thought it'd be, and since the holiday season's coming, we thought it'd be a really great time to do a food drive. So we went ahead and ordered that or put that in the newsletter along with some requested items. And people can drop off both at the library and here at City Hall. And then this is a question for council. It's something we got suggested a while back, but we're looking for ways to offer fee amnesty. The library gets very little income from overdue books, but there are some overdue books. And we recognize that having library fees is one way that parents can teach responsibility. But we think there's more than one way to teach responsibility. And so if I'm interested if council would give permission or would be interested in are having sort of an annual fee amnesty where they could bring a certain number of unexpired cans for Sharing Hands, or they could come volunteer 2 hours in the library and learn how to shelf books, and they could work off their library fees. Is that?
I like that idea.
I've heard of other libraries that have done that.
The last libraries I worked for did it, and it was always pretty popular. It got a lot of people who haven't been to the library in a while to come back in.
That's it. We just want
Yeah.
we just want people to use the library. So I'd much rather have that than get my $1.25. So if it's okay, we'll experiment with that and certainly have the LAC look at it and give some feedback to council on how it worked, and Sarah can give some feedback on how it works. So our letter for the Clean Water Revolving Loan fund was submitted. This is the application. It's the stage before the application. That full application is due December 9th, and I have a meeting on Monday to talk with the local program area manager, but this would be for the IMI study. And we're not obligated to take funds even if we're approved for that, but it does keep our options open, and we should be able to see what kind of grant dollars we would get with it. So the first park committee meeting happened October 20th. All 3 of the citizen members came. They seem excited for the project. The next one is November 10th. We're hoping everybody can be here for that one. At this point, it's a lot of brainstorming on what folks would like to see. We've collected those park surveys for more information. So Julia's running those conversations, but she's got aerial photos so people can look at the park and you can talk about where things could go. And so that's pretty exciting. And please feel welcome to drop in, even if you're not on the committee. Mayor did it last time, and it was great to have him join the conversation. The Council of Governments is participating in gathering information for Faster Internet Oregon, and it's a grant program that seeks to identify gaps in access to high-speed internet. And they are looking at infrastructure gaps, but they're also looking at households that just can't afford it. It's tricky. What they need is people to do speed tests in their homes. We don't have anybody who can go door to door, knock on doors and ask people to do speed tests, but we put it out in the newsletter. I did ask both Elyrica and RTI to give us whatever data they have in terms of if there's neighborhoods where people aren't signed up, or they can't give us house specific data, but they may be able to give us other data. So I'm putting this out there. If each of you could do a speed test, if you know neighbors that don't have internet because they can't afford it, if you if you have any concerns about high-speed internet access, this is the time we're gathering that data for this group. So. And then they're looking at doing a grant for our region that would help to address some of those issues. Council staff holiday party is on December 10th at 6 p.m. Please RSVP if you know for sure you're not coming, or if you're just not sure. It helps us to know because we have to give account to the caterers and we don't, buy the right food. And not on here, but the mayor's asked me to restart doing something I was doing a year ago, where I was sending out Friday update emails. So instead of waiting for this once a month, you'll get a shorter one from me in your email box almost every Friday. It just has what folks were working on during the week, with what the public works, what the library is working on, what I'm working on, or what all the staff is working on. So I encourage you to check those. And if anybody needs access, and has just lost access, lost their password, is having technical difficulties, I have National Business Solutions phone number here. I'll make sure you get it before you go. And then if anybody didn't check their email in the last 24 hours, please see me after the meeting. And that's it for that report.
Next would be the Public Works Report. Andy, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Fantastic. So on my report, we had a couple water leaks in town. We did one at a 3/4 inch service in Centennial Court. And we had one downtown on West First Street, a 1-inch service going to a resident. The jockey pump that we had problems with, we had that rebuilt, and now it's back to the water treatment plant, and is it's a backup as at this moment. And we the ODOT was working by the school water line, and so we took the vac truck and located that, so they were able to do their project without having any interruptions, and which is a big thing for the school. So with all this rain, our lagoons are filling up. We've got some things that we need to do before the new discharge season. Rebuilding some of our equipment and getting all ready for the next season's event. On the streets, part of the things that we did, of course, city-wide cleanup. We did our part and picked up the tires and did appliances. Got our last season mowing in. This is including the main ditches through town. Billy was able to get out there and get the final mowing in. At the school, we helped install 2 posts and 6 signs at the school. We did a drainage project. We did a couple drainage projects, did some cleaning, and one of our main one was we replaced a section of pipe that was a mismatch section of pipe, 40-foot section, 30 inch in diameter, which was a good project. But that was part of what we did this month, and did some other cleaning on 3rd Street, which was good. We got we feel good about cleaning the ditches and the flow in that section. So it's just basically about doing drainage improvements in our town. One of the main things, I touched this on last month, but one of the things that we did was we rented a lift to trim trees, and we trimmed trees up north from Halsey City Hall, and especially down at the park. And I think we did 11 loads out of the park. So if anybody wants to go out to the lagoon when we did the burn our pile, you're welcome.
A community weenie roast.
With a long stick.
Oh,
We'd be able to walk on the water by now.
Yeah. So we installed a sign there at the train cover north of City Hall. And we had some maintenance done on our backhoe. It's a 1,500-hour maintenance, and we've been having some issues with some alarms going off. And when they came and checked it out, we had some more work done to take care of those issues. And that's all I have. Have any questions?
no questions?
No, just
Thank you,
let,
Andy.
Thank you,
I'll
Andy.
let you know that the work you did on 4th Street in the hard rain held up good.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Perfect.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
On the agenda is the library report.
And
Sarah?
I'm happy to go now, but do we want to let that officer
No,
know?
we'll
Okay,
go first.
okay. So at the library, last month, our daily threshold count was about 6. We had 150 patrons come in. We did get a large donation of about 150 books, which was awesome. Most I'm putting into the bookmobile, but the ones I bring into the library, I will process after I have a chance to weed through the young adult and adult fiction, which I'll do during the winter, which apparently has already begun. I submitted the statistical report for the state last month. And actually, I just got word today, Hillary, that the Ready to Read report was approved and then our check will be in the account in December. So that's exciting for the summer reading program next summer. Our bookmobile sale is coming up a week from this Saturday. The library is going to participate in the Christmas parade for the city, and Daphne's helping me with that. We're going to host a Christmas caroling and cider event on Saturday, December 17th at 5 p.m. And I'm going to host a sleepover in the library in January if anyone's interested in hanging out. I just need to pick a date for that. And then we did decide on April 22nd as being the date for the 5. And so I'm starting plans for that. So that's what's happening at the library. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions, comments? Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, Sarah.
Appreciate it.
And Billy and Andy did get my book drop open when I couldn't get it open. So props to them.
So continue on to council reports of sharing hands. Well, you can if you want to. You want to do your sheriff's report?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, well, then let's do the sheriff's report.
Let me go to my corner. Okay, traffic, 8 traffic stops. I counted the report, we cited 3 people for driving suspended, no driver's license, 1 for no insurance, 1 for registration, and we issued a citation to Diamond K for some trailer parking issues. One thing you'll note if you go through this month, there's no property crimes, no vehicles broken into, sheds, anything like that. So that was really awesome to see. I guess the excitement for the month, we got in 2 car chases in Halsey. I guess it's a funny story. So first time he got away, a couple days later, same guy, almost the exact same time. Drove by the same exact deputy in the same exact car. And then at that time we got him, and we arrested his passenger also because he had warrants also. So that's really the only excitement we had in Halsey, which is not a bad thing.
That's a good thing.
Yes, a very good thing. The no property crimes is really good to see because honestly, everywhere else, they are skyrocketing.
Really?
Yeah, I think Millersburg, I just got back from Millersburg, they were up 68% for 2022 versus 2020. So I can run some numbers for Halsey and present those next month. But when I go through a report like this, that's only 6 pages long and nobody's reporting any theft or vandalism or anything like that. Yeah, it's super awesome to see. That's not just us though. I mean, it's a lot of community policing with neighbors calling and touching base with each other and calling us when they see something. Very, very good to see. Those help bring overall numbers down quite a bit. Yeah. Any questions related to October? Or anything else for that matter?
I have one.
Yeah.
I've seen quite a few times in here where it's cited in lieu of custody
Yep.
for their warrant. What does that mean? I mean, obvious, beyond the obvious.
Yeah, so they're placed in verbal custody and told that they can't leave.
Mhm.
And then we just issued them a warrant or a citation for a date to appear in court on their warrant. So where that comes into play, well, there's a lot that comes into play there. So we arrest a lot of people that aren't on our warrants. So let's say somebody's commuting from Eugene up to GP, right? And they live in Lane County.
Mhm.
If they have the Lane County warrants, a lot of those warrants have restrictions where we can't transport them to another county. We could only issue them a citation. So the recent Senate bill that passed last year,
Mhm.
we can't place those people in custody anymore. And so if they have a warrant because they didn't show up for getting caught breaking into a car, instead of taking them to court and making them appear, we just say, here's a piece of paper, make sure you show up, and then we'll do it again and again.
I was gonna say, if they already have a warrant and you give them,
So CLC is just a fancy word for cite in lieu of custody. There's a lot that goes into that depending on what the charge is.
Yeah.
And who issued the warrant. But a lot of that stuff handcuffs us because a judge issues a warrant, and if a judge uses limited extradition and puts certain limits on the warrant,
Mhm.
we don't have any other choice but to issue the court date. I had one, Grants Pass. It was a custody warrant, so I transported them to jail. Once he was at jail, Grants Pass called and said, release him because we don't want to come pick him up. And so then we just let him out. So it's very frustrating.
I would think it would be.
Free ride to Albany.
What's that?
You get a free ride to Albany.
Yep. 2 hours in a cop, man.
There you go. Yes,
But yeah, good question. Yeah, that comes up quite a bit.
it does. I noticed it quite a few times and I noticed it last month too. when I Got to ask.
Yep. Cite in lieu of physical custody.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
That's it. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we'll move on to council reports, sharing hands with Ken.
If you're not aware, Sharing Hands, of course, through COVID drastically increased the number of people they were serving. Approximately 8 times the number of people. The numbers come back down, but nowhere near where they were. We're still running over twice what we were in 2019, number of people being served. And as of this last month, the numbers have increased significantly again, probably because of the cost of food. Unfortunately, it's also costing Sharing Hands more for food. And so, of course, whatever the community can do to help support this agency, they serve our community. Just our area. They're not a big food bank, being fed out of Portland or something like that. They just serve our community. And they need our community support. They're going to be here, a representative will be here on the 3rd Thursday. And I encourage you all to come meet her, Deb, who is our director. And she can explain some of the things they do because they're not just a food bank. There's a lot of stuff that they do for the community. And, it'd be good for you to know, what this little group of, I think we had, was 80 some volunteers at a picnic. So it's just a little group for our community. There's a lot of people involved in it, giving, and encourage you to learn a little bit more about it when she's here on the 3rd Thursday, 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Definitely report.
I don't have a lot because this is the month that the meetings are off. So they didn't have their meeting last night. So just a couple things I do know about the boys and girls soccer teams have made it to the playoffs and are working on there. The baseball field had a very large donation, let me just say that, and they've replaced the turf or added turf field. The whole infield is now turf. It's going in yesterday and today. And new dugouts will be built this weekend. The boys, the baseball players are coming to do it. along with my husband and my son. And yeah, big changes coming to the baseball program this year. We're very, very excited. So someone from the elementary school asked me to approach council and just ask, they were donated one of those small little libraries, the Lending libraries. Isn't that what I'm talking about? Somebody donated one to them last year, and they would like to know about maybe being able to put it up somewhere in town or something. So. But I would just.
We had this question once before. I think usually they're put on private property, like if somebody puts it up in their house.
Mhm.
If we want to put it on public property, let me just check real quick with the attorney about that, because there was a reason, maybe it was just that council didn't want to do it, but that was offered once before and council declined. And I just don't remember enough about it. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I forgot to bring it up.
I would be willing to have it on my own property.
Okay.
We have a lot of kids in the neighborhood because we have the apartment complex across the street. We have a large family next door. But another family just down the street, a lot of kids in the neighborhood.
Well, and it's not even just the kids, it's adult books too. You know, anybody, you take your books and you put them in there and it's just an honor system. I finished reading this one, so I put it in and go there and take one out, that kind of thing. So.
You think the library would connect with it to help make sure there's a change in books?
Books from the book.
Also,
Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
I don't think it's that big.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess then if you're willing to do it on yours and we could still ask.
Sounds like Sarah's excited to help.
Okay, there we go. I mean, I don't want it to take away from the library either, but.
Fan of those. I think they're great for the community. So
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you.
I'll connect with you later, Kim.
so then the next item is going to be the council priority report. We'll go back to that.
You're just keeping me on my toes.
Yeah.
I try to provide this to you quarterly. I think I'm a month late. Sometimes lots going on. I miss it. And a lot of this you already know through ongoing conversations, but we did apply for funding for business oriented for the well. That should include some, well, we did the letter of interest and then they reviewed it and then they invite the application. So that's about where we are. Which should include some loan forgiveness, ongoing conversations about various logistics. The update I have for you is that we may be able to get the environmental study waived based on how close the new well is anticipated to be to the old well. We did not get the $20,000 technical assistant grant that I applied for the engineering, so that will just need to be part of the project or paid for out of ARPA funds. The building repairs and facility improvements line. I've been researching asset management and maintenance trackers. They're difficult to find. Some big cities have them and they're extremely expensive. A lot of things that are called that turn out to just be work order systems. We already have a work order system through our accounting system. But I found one interesting possibility that would do dual purpose. It's actually an interactive map. So it's designed more for us to put in, here's a 4-inch pipe, here's a 6-inch pipe, here's an 8, here's the valve, here's like, it actually would be very useful for mapping our sewer, water, and stormwater. And each thing, if you click on it, then a field box opens up and you can enter, like you can customize that field box. So you can enter like the last time you did repaired a water leak on that line or the last time that line was flushed. You can put a lot of different data in there. So it allows some of the tracking that we had talked about. It's designed as a map. We could use it for stationary equipment like the water plant, because I want to look at generators and pumps and all of that. But basically over the water plant, we would have a dot, and that's the generator, we would have a dot, and then as you pop it open, again, those fields are customizable. We can set it up we can actually have a record in there of when a piece of equipment is supposed to be serviced, when it was purchased, what its anticipated life is, when the last time we did the service was. So that's a possibility. I have another couple still to check out. What's the name of the roadmaster in Lynn County?
Wayne Mead.
Okay, because I emailed Darren about what county uses and didn't get a response, so I'll reach out to him instead. But that's a possibility, and that is actually a relatively inexpensive possibility, and the training is free and the support is free. And already cleared with Maddie that it could be an extra project. She could put in some extra time doing the initial load of the data so that then just, work with public works guys to use it, but the burden is not on them to create the map. So that's an interesting possibility. And it also would let us, our maps right now, if you ask for where utilities are, we've got these big white sheets of paper and this would then let us pull this up on a tablet with an aerial view and we could, zoom in around the city. So tangential to that, we have through our accounting system a new work order function, which Larissa has set up and then trained us on, but it allows us to send work orders electronically. The guys get a text or an email notifying them they have a work order. They can check it remotely. The same system, they can look up like an address or a phone number without having to call in City Hall to get it. It reduces a lot of paper we were passing around and a lot of separate texts and emails. It's really pretty cool and efficient. And it's free.
Software.
Freeze. Freeze good.
Bonus.
So working on the asset maintenance tracker, I don't have a for sure answer, but I have a possible one. And then under this item, there was also the fuel tanks and the community center sign. The fuel tanks are on hold until we find out where the new well is going because they have to be a certain distance from water sources and there are some safety concerns there. And then the community center sign is on hold until the 99 project's complete and we control that right away and we can put the sign wherever we want to. So the wastewater and sewer I&I improvements, originally we planned to use ARPA funds. Those ARPA funds are now redirected to the well, but we talked in our last meeting about possible funding sources and possible grant sources for those. And I'm pursuing those. The financial stewardship, city revenue has not declined post-COVID as was anticipated, but operation costs are certainly impacted by inflation. We are doing what we can to minimize that impact on the city and to find efficiencies. And we were able to budget for the utility billing improvements. So those you will see this year. In fact, we're about to run out of our postcard billing stock. So you should see a full page bill by January, unless something goes really wrong, and then we'll reorder the stock. Our newsletter will be shifting at the same time. The newsletter will go out with the bill. And that's part of how we're paying to do the bills that way, is we won't have a separate mailing for the newsletter. We'll be able to let the permit go with the post office. And it will mean that newsletters go to a single page. So some things will be more compact, stories will be more compact, but it also means they get mailed directly to people's homes and it's with your utility bill. So people might see it instead of having it mixed in with magazines. So we're pretty excited about that. Also, the full page bill will let us give people more utility information on the bill itself. They'll be less confusing than those little postcards. I'm not sure that the online e-billing portal will be operational at the same time. I'm also not sure the newsletter will be in the first full page bill you get. So this might be 1 month, the next month,
Right.
It'll just how we pull it all together. The rare member has already, well, I wrote out what she's done. She's already got a small grant. She got us into the Oregon Main Street program, which will let buildings in our downtown area actually apply for grants for facade improvement. She's almost done updating the business toolkit. She's done her first draft of the emergency response plan and sent that to the county for the emergency response coordinator there to review. And she sent out the notices for the local wetlands inventory. So she's cranking. The ERP first draft is completed. We're working through revisions. The park committee has met for the park improvements. The next meeting is November 10th at 6 p.m. here. You're welcome to drop in. There's also a park survey available. If there's anybody who hasn't filled it out, please do so. If you want a paper one instead of an electronic one, let us know. If you have neighbors that you can shove it into their hands. I mean, parks really impact the whole community, and the more information we have about what people want before we design them, the better the parks will be. So vehicle replacements, we already bought the ditch mower, which is drastically speeded up how long it takes us to mow the ditches. I have not found a nearby city interested in sharing a purchase on a man lift, so we're still exploring options for that. We did, as Andy mentioned, rent one so we can do some above ground work. And then the engineering is done for East B Street, so that project will happen this coming spring, summer season. And we applied for another SCA grant in August. If we get it, it would widen and improve two short sections of H and I streets on the west side.
I think we should hear about that this month.
That would be exciting. And as you know, council has taken leadership in community engagement, and Third Thursday has begun. And also we've had several councilors join in groups, liaisons for those. So. Oh, I'm not going to read through this, but I attached a master. This is my master list. And so you'll see on it, some things are current council goals, some things are old council goals, some things aren't council goals, but they're just critical enough that I'm tracking what needs to be done. Things are broken into pieces. The orange ones are still things to be done with projected dates. The things that have been turned black are things that are complete. So it's just a tool that kind of breaks down a little more clearly where we are with various issues. And then once they're fully complete, I pull them off the list. So it's just a part of our process, but I thought it might be interesting in reference to the goals that we're working on.
Thank you. Item is new business. Fiscal year 2021-2022 audit. Anything you want to add, Hillary?
Just, it makes me very, very happy when the auditor finds no violation. John, little recommendations, procedure improvements. He was just very happy, and that just makes me very happy. So, yeah, it was clean. I did put the audit separate from your packet so that if you want to keep the audit and recycle your packet, that's easier this year. And they're always available on our website, and they're available on the current Secretary of State website as well.
Any comments, discussion?
Question.
No questions, comments? Okay. I would entertain a motion.
Move the governing body of the city of Halsey approve the 2021-2022 fiscal year audit as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Once again, thank you very, very much for a very wonderful job. Next item on the agenda is a Lynn County Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Intergovernmental Agreement. Because why would we have that thing short?
Once.
Why would we create an acronym that anybody could remember?
Exactly. Would you please give us a summary?
Yeah, so and actually I have an update to the summary sheet that was included in your packet. So this happens every 5 years. The current one expires in March, but why they're working on updating it. We did adopt the last one in 2016. It was 2018, but 2023 it expires. They the county takes the lead on updating this, but they ask for participation and feedback and information from the cities. The last time we did this, there was no IGA. I don't know if you read through this one, but there's some language in it that's pretty aggressive in terms of what they want the city to do.
Right.
And I called them and I said, look, I'm happy to participate in this thing last time, but I have a full-time job and I only had 3 people show up for the Parks Committee, and that's fun. I'm not going to get anybody to show up for a steering committee on updating your natural hazard mitigation plan. She said, oh yeah, no problem. And so I was, the caveat is that we have to sign we have to participate in the plan to be eligible for FEMA funding if any natural disaster happens. So we want to do that.
Right.
We want to slam that door. And they were sort of using that as a stick. I will tell you that they got a grant. So the agreement talks about the city matching 25%. They got a grant from the state to pay for the match for the federal grant for updating the plan. So that is no longer accurate in the IGA. And then I started talking to Harrisburg. We didn't do an IGA last time. And she had actually pushed back with the LCD about, hey, we didn't do an IGA last time. And now you've got all this language in here that's threatening retribution if we don't do things that small cities just can't do. And got a response of, oh yeah, it's our grant writer that wants that. And some of that is federal language that we can't change. So I have, instead of recommending you approve this tonight, I have a couple of suggestions. One would be if there is a consensus that there is an intent to sign the intergovernmental agreement. Instead of signing it tonight, let me pursue updating that language and see if I can change it and negotiate that. And I'll certainly run it through Ross and get his feedback. I don't know if I can move DLCD. I don't know if I can move the federal language. But if you're willing to, it already asks for my signature. If you're willing in intent to participate in updating the Lynn County Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan so we can be eligible for FEMA assistance, and you're willing to let me massage the specifics of language and sign it later, you could come to consensus on that and give me permission. The other option would be to postpone it until next month. Let me do that negotiation on language, and then I can put it in your packet next month if we've been able to change it, and then you could review the actual language in the IGA if you prefer.
Is there some concern about timeframes? I was looking at some of the dates
Right.
on there. It looks like we're actually
We
behind.
actually really want this signed by December. So that's part of where the first option might come in, is that it would let me push them on content, and still keep the timeline that they're asking.
Right. That would be my question, the timeline. What do you all think?
Well, from what I read from it, we do need to participate.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Or
Yes,
we are
absolutely.
not available to receive FEMA funding if something happens. So I believe we do need to move forward, but I would like to see some improvement on that wording if we can.
Absolutely.
So do you trust me to fight for that and get the best we can and then sign it, or do you want to postpone this as a agenda item until December and look at whatever we can get out of them as new wording?
I have some concern about waiting until our December
Yeah.
meeting,
I did too.
because when I looked at the dates, it looks like we're already behind.
Yeah, they didn't ask us for this until that month.
Nice. Stick and carrot with a really incredibly heavy stick. So,
Personally, I would trust you to do it. I know
Yes.
that you've got the city's best interest in mind and you know, you're gonna probably know more of this than,
I would just ask that if you make some changes, if you could let us know, and even that could be through your Friday.
Yeah, and I'll also promise to involve the city attorney, so, I mean,
right?
he's sort of the ultimate authority on contract language anyways.
Right.
So if you're comfortable with him checking whatever the final draft is, moving forward, we could do it that way.
That's what I would go for, just to get it done.
Consensus on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So then we have to. We have to do a motion on that or?
No, if you have
Consensus?
consensus.
Yeah,
for me to proceed.
okay. So the next item on the agenda is ordinances and resolutions. Was a good time. Ordinance 2022-442, an ordinance of the city of Halsey amending the Halsey Municipal Code and adding chapter 7.30 regulating mobile food units. This is the first reading of the ordinance. Hillary, please have a summary.
This is quite straightforward compared to the natural hazard mitigation plan. As you know, we've already had some trucks in
Yeah.
policy. We don't have any language regulating them. I was concerned about, on the wanting to have it clear in the rules that it's okay for us to let them use city property. So this kind of spells out where it spells out that they need to check with the city. It spells out that they need to clean up their trash. They need to be properly licensed through public health, Lynn County and with the state of Oregon. It just kind of lays out parameters so that we can make sure that we're, not creating a problem for anybody. My favorite, the lawyer, the attorney made me word it. Number 9 used to say something about conducting business in a traffic lane, and he said, "You're soliciting business in traffic lane." He said, "Hillary, you can't do that. It's freedom of speech." And I said, "All I want to stop is somebody leaning out a passenger window, waving money and saying, 'I want to,' and somebody else entering the traffic lane to deliver to and take the money, and somebody else mad because the four-way stop isn't moving, cutting up the side to turn right, and now I have a person and a car and another car, and I just think it's unsafe." He said, "Okay, you can say it this way." So to me, it's really straightforward. And this is
Follow any of
you can't vote on it tonight, and if there's anything you
Right.
want to change, let me know and I can adjust it.
I like this so far.
I'd actually like number 9 removed so I can get a donuts on the run, please.
Are you serious?
No.
All right. Ignore.
Any questions, comments on that? No, all good to go?
All made sense.
Okay, so the next is the resolution 2022-3. A resolution of the city of Halsey adopting a stormwater master plan for the city of Halsey and replacing the 2000 storm drainage system master plan.
So you all may remember the world.
Yeah.
COVID when we did our drainage mapping plan that's been
Yeah.
sitting in my office for a couple of years now, and to be honest, we've been using it. The planner was really wanting to update it as part of the comp plan update, because it's good practice to make your master plan as part of your comp plan.
Right.
And I said, "Okay, let's get going on this comp plan update." And he's like, "Well, we need to wait for the buildable lands inventory." I said, "Okay, what do we need to finish that?" I said, "Well, we need to wait for the local wetlands inventory." So the local wetlands inventory is proceeding this winter. It was delayed by process and by our contractor. But then the other day on the phone, he was like, "Well, when you adopted your stormwater master plan," and I said, "You wouldn't let me adopt it because you wanted to make it a comp plan amendment." So it's a little embarrassing to bring you a report 2 years later and say, "Could you please adopt this?" He said, "Oh, council can adopt that." I said, "Thank you." So it's about this thick, and if you've gone through it, there's a lot of pictures, tables, it's actually very readable, but it's more than I wanted to try to print out for each of you to put in your packets. If any of you wants your own hard copy, tell me, I will print you one. I've got copies here that are available for public inspection. It was available on the website and I emailed it to you. So anyways, this is a resolution adopting that master plan.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Yeah, I would entertain a motion, please.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey adopt resolution 2022-713- a resolution of the city of Halsey adopting the stormwater master plan for the city of Halsey and replacing the 2000 storm drainage system master plan.
Second.
All in favor?
I just saved you all.
Motion carries. And with that, we're at 7:45.
Oh.
Wow.
Land speed record. Holy smokes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Oh, now you did it.
Yeah.
Set her off.
There she goes.
Anyone need
Called her creepy.
the IT guys for your email?
I would love it.